Hey, so welcome to Relics of War. I am the DM, Legend and Song, which you cannot see because I did not turn myself on for you. I guess I could if I really wanted to. Do you guys really want to see me this early? That seems silly. Whatever. But hey, I figured I'd give you a little heads up on what happened last week. We have back this week our fine player Brock, who plays Blayze, the Dragonborn Druid. He will be back this week. But he's actually stepping in because Eric, who plays Griffin, the crazy Scottish Arakocra who really likes alcohol, is out this week. So we have 3 players again for you this week. But what happened last week, the party, if you remember, had split. Blayze and Heh'vin had gone from the prison area all the way up to the Emperor, taking with him Aromatheia, the Circus Mistress, or the Circus Master as she is known. She doesn't do the term mistress. She and he go all the way up, make it to the Emperor, and have this conversation. Well, you know what? I'm going to cut back to that. Let me instead say what happened last week, which was he went up there, and the other 3 were breaking out of prison. The Paladin had created with this epic divine strike a floor that was fading away, a floor that was being eaten up, and into this hole fell not just one of their fallen enemies, but the Paladin himself. Shortly thereafter, with Blayze and Aromatheia having gone, the Arakocra and Den of Wolves, our Tabaxi, had to decide what they were going to do, and they leaped in after him. And they ran these sewer chutes, because Heh'vin has to put out its sewage somewhere, down from this whatever high city, thousands of feet in the air, down these various sewer chutes into these puddles of decrepit waste, where they met along the way evilness, vileness, in the darkness. And it was interesting to them because they knew it was night and they had been able to see stars from heaven when they removed the floor. But what they weren't expecting was, when they emerged from one of the tunnel chutes, utter darkness. They wondered at the splashing and soon learned that it was evil vileness that lived there, and they had to fight it. Well, this happened again and again as they went down to the bottom, and when they finally found their way out, swimming on what they thought was ground and they could feel stone, they heard voices approaching. Lo and behold, Jamé, this young boy that had led them in earlier on, many episodes earlier, had come to help somebody else get into the darkness, help Gonic, one of the individuals from the circus that the party, not Verdic, but the rest of the party was familiar with, an animal handler. And Gonic was focused on heading one way. Jamé and Gonic split as Gonic went forward, but they realized quickly that Gonic seemed to be able to see his way around for the most part. This inspired our Paladin to want to not only follow him, but get whatever secrets he had. There was this whole kerfuffle with putting him to sleep, waking him up, putting him to sleep, fighting battles. The abominations were here, these aberrations and abominations, and they were attacking him through sound. They found them, and it was an utter battle until ultimately the Paladin proved successful. Got the weapon from Gonic, the sword that he wanted so bad, and left Gonic to die, being rolled up by this abomination. Soon, though, protecting themselves, the Arakocra and Den of Wolves, who had made their way to what they felt was a bridge, found instead a tough, stuffed teddy bear. Later they left, sneaking away, and would encounter once again, after finding their way out, Jamé once more, who led them out of this magical darkness and into the city in shadow, where we will pick up with tonight's game. Welcome, my friends, to the place where we have the best game in the world, Relics of War, with some of the finest players on the internet. Welcome to Plot Points. Tonight we have with us Blayze, Verdic, and Den of Wolves, Mike, Russ, and Brock. Why don't you introduce yourselves, starting with Verdic, our Paladin who really lit up the magical darkness last time. Take it away, Russ. Say hi to everybody. You're muted. And that would, I guess, take it over to you, Blayze, right? Or wait, no, wait, we just did that. No, duh. Yeah, that would take it to me. I'm like looking because I'm like, there's 4 of us, and then I'm like, wait, no, we already did him. And then I looked over, I'm like, oh yeah, MIA, that's right, he's not here, Eric. So yes, me, hey, Sean, Legend and I almost said Den of Wolves. Wow, that obviously the Tabaxi is on my mind tonight. Yeah, Legend and I'm the story guide. I guess for D&D they call me a dungeon master. I've been that for a few decades and whatnot. Thanks, Shade. Appreciate all that. We're going to pick up around a campfire in a woods where this party is all together and where the conversation seems to have focused on Den of Wolves, Blayze, and this elderly paladin sitting around a campfire, remembering a time in the City of Shadow. What do you remember most about it, Blayze? As the fire crackles. With that, as he starts asking about how it went, the Dragonborn begins to describe exactly what happened up in heaven after the party was split. And we'll zoom back into our story as it unfolds, where Blayze and Aromatheia are in the Emperor's Palace. And I promised everybody during the walk-in that I would set that scene. We had left off with them in the Emperor's throne room, the Emperor having sent all others out. Literally being alone. And this emperor, this child-sized emperor, walked forward out from the hut that he was in, coming forward towards them, until finally they realized, standing before them out of the shadows, wasn't a child at all, but a goblin. A goblin who quickly explained to them that they were never leaving the city, because now they knew the secrets. They knew the secret that a goblin is the emperor in heaven, not a human. One of many mysteries that remain to be unsolved. Blayze, who had come here to warn this emperor, and the emperor who listened, and now Aromatheia, who had observed all the rituals, kept her head down and whatnot on the floor, looks up and says, "But I can't be stuck here. My people, The Emperor replies with, in this perfectly accented voice, belying the long teeth. He's dressed well, he speaks well, and explains to Aromatheia that the circus will be allowed to leave, just not you, who know the secrets. Blayze, how would you like to respond? The Emperor looks to you and he says, you have such magics? Well, I don't think that you'll find them here in the palace. Therefore, we still have the same problem because you can't leave with your memories. Not at all. You will be my honored guest. You might say that I have a certain desire for your lineage. You might have noticed my dear friend who guards me. He's an individual who is not just a servant here. You heard me use the term friend. You too can be such a friend for me. You see, you carry the line of mighty dragons, which is important to the Keshdrakan. The Keshdrakan believe that you can help us to place goblins back in power where we always were. But perhaps you too need to be convinced of the righteousness and the history of who we are. Yeah.
Chat's saying they can't hear the players.
Well, talk again and let's see if that works.
We can hear you, but not the players.
Were you guys able to hear that?
Hello.
Like, I think what it was is
now.
Yeah,
Sure.
I was about to say I think I know what it was. I think when I muted Sirenscape, it was muting the desktop as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure.
Since you are the one that brought up that and helped us through our technical difficulty, Shade gets something special. Shade, what are you looking for this stream? Make it reasonable, dude. and then I'll see if I can put it in.
Ultimate power.
No, DM did not say that.
I heard him say for Den of Wolves to become the strongest.
The strongest? I can do that.
But...
The strongest of all around him. And suddenly, Den of Wolves shrinks down to be this ant-sized Tabaxi. The strongest of all the ants in the bug world.
Dude, I would love to be stronger than an ant.
Yeah, but you want it proportionate. You want to be Ant-Man. It's like proportionate to my size. Shade says he does. Yeah. Shade says he wants somebody to stick out their tongue. Oh, wait. No, that's the thinking emoticon. I thought it was a tongue sticking out for a minute. I'll let you think about that, Shade. So inside the Emperor's palace, we have Blayze talking away. Blayze trying to come up with this rationale. Aromatheia calling for her people to be getting away. But it really seems to come down to how is Blayze going to convince this Emperor to let them go? Because the Emperor has suggested that you just need to know more about the history. Would you like him to tell you more of the history of the goblins?
I'll listen to any type of history lesson they want to give. I'm a fan of history.
The Emperor remains looking at you, claps his hands. A moment later, which tells you something, you instantly realize while you're alone, either he's got some magic or else certain individuals are still listening. He might not be as exposed as he appears to be. This small Emperor who seems to have no weapons on him whatsoever. From back where the dragon, the half-dragon, had walked out, a door opens, and in walks this massive, burly goblin. It's actually a hobgoblin. Not as big as the dragon. That would be more bugbear-sized, or the half-dragon that was there. But this humanoid-sized, but you can tell by the skin color, which is a yellowish. You can tell by the look, the eyes, the shape, the teeth, the hands, that this is a goblin. Also, finely dressed, carrying with him a lute. He comes over, sits down on a chair, and keeps his head bowed before the Emperor. And the Emperor puts over a hand and waves it up like this. And then he says, the history for our guests. A moment later, he plays the lute, tunes it a bit, and then begins. And he sings in a voice that, while deep and mannish, carries this beautiful, hitting every single note, literally worthy of heaven. You want to be slappy? We do. That's actually interesting. I can do that because that was already happening. So thumbs up, Shade. You get your wish.
No.
There's a whole thing because that actually was already on tonight's agenda. It was on last week's agenda and it carried over to this week. So, woo. This music begins, and as he starts to sing, he starts talking about the Dar. A moment later, the Emperor stops him because most of the words you don't understand, either of you. And the Emperor says, speaking continuously in the common, not in the Dar. Our friends are not so educated. Sing it in the common tongue. And you realize Dar is actually the language of goblins. And as this individual continues to sing, now starting again, flawlessly, singing in common, he sings of the Goldar, of the Galdar, of the Gallandar, of these species of goblin, and where they originated from the dawn of time, giving you insights into who the goblins are, the goblins who ran this entire land from coast to coast, for all was in the goblin vision. All was taken care of by the goblins. See, the Dar are more than a language. They are the people. They are goblins on their own. But you realize that goblin isn't just one people. When they sing about the Goldar, he's actually talking about these massive bugbears, which are part of the goblin people. He's singing about the Galdar, hobgoblins like himself, who carry the history vibrant of the people, the singers of old. And the Gallandar, those who were not only quick of feet, but quick of mind. And these three worked in harmony constantly, yet all throughout was always combat. Combat. Not fighting against each other, but fighting with each other. For the goblins believed in the strength, the mightiness shown through combat, proven through combat, tested through combat. And that's where you start to learn where the separations in the goblins, it wasn't along special lines, but along the Keshes. The Keshes who created ideals within the Goblin Empire. And suddenly, Blayze, of course, and Aromatheia are aware the Goblin had referred to the Kesh-Drakan that were here. And the Kesh-Drakan, you learn quickly, are the keepers who sought the weapons of the Goblin Empire. See, the goblins worthy, made mighty weapons, made unlike any other forged today, or so the singer believes, weapons of true might and power. But the Kesh-Drakan no longer believed that the weapons were just in the metal, no longer were just in the gears, no longer were just in the forging of mightiness that would be wielded by the Dar people, but instead was in the people themselves. The Kesh-Drakan explored in ways that others, according to the song, didn't quite always believe in. The Kesh-Drakan started to forge new people. They made the blues, goblins who made weapons of their mind to dominate others. They made the Barghest, goblins who could actually change their shape to look like the animals in the wild. He says all this and sings of pride, and you see the Emperor actually nod a few times. He watches you most often, but occasionally he gives that respect, nodding to the singer's song. He goes on, well, these are all the origins. But the singer brings it to today, talking about a time before the war. And each of you understand this horrible war that's wrecked the very empire. Welcome, Freya. Glad you're here. You're here in time for the song. We're going into the second phase of it now, where the Emperor Singer, this hobgoblin, talks about the Lazar pirates who had come all the way along the northern coast of Corvair to threaten the Eldine provinces, who had come in to the very port. And we're going to show everybody that one. Here they'd come into Eldine Bay. Near the mountains, they had landed, attacking the people. See, what many don't realize is Corvair, when it was fighting this war amongst the 5 kingdoms and Ondare here, had taken part. There was the Brelish Empire, the Ondine, and all this. They were all part of one empire, the Galifar Empire. An interesting note is that when Blayze hears them speak of Galifar, there's a note of disdain. The singer's voice actually changes. And in fact, you're not quite sure of the word because it seems to be like a bastardized Dar language like the goblins. But it's almost this idea that Galifar was this upstart. They ruled for like 1,000 years. I mean, Galifar Empire, man, it was forever. This is the human history. But the way the singer talks about it, it's this upstart nation that had come in, taken over when the goblins were at their weakest. But now when the humans warred amongst themselves and the Lazar humans, the provinces, the pirates had come in to take advantage of all these people here, now you hear that Kestra Khan came to the rescue. Kestra Khan, who had been working with people, even taking some of the humans here and training them in the goblin martial arts to create the very thing that humans called samurai. He sent them all to defend the humans. The empire here protected them all. Now you begin to realize this empire, this Heh'vin, had sent their all. In fact, it was the humans that had been trained, these samurai, that went to fight in the war. And the singer pronounces that once again, the weakness of the humans was evident. For goblins understood moot and not just personal acha. This acha that becomes honor for the person, which is so paramount to the humans, is not the goblin way. For the goblins understood moot. Duty to the empire above all. Goblins understood their place. And now you understand that earlier part of the song when he talked about the bugbearers, the hobgoblins, and the goblins, the Galandar, the Galdar, the Guldar. These individual ones, all Adar people, worked with Moot. They understood their position and what was required. And that is when the Kestra Khan took over Heh'vin. The singer explains that in the human weakness, when they had no one, literally after saving the people of the Eldin Reaches, these samurai, these elite, trained by the goblin in their ways, went off to march in a human war, never to return. What could the goblins do? What could a true empire do but create new people? And he says the reality was the weapons we were creating, which we had taught the ways to humans, we had relied on weakness. And so the Kestra Khan, taking their vows seriously to provide, relied on the dragon prophecy, the draconic prophecy. And here Blayze opens up. He knows individuals in his past. To follow the draconic prophecy is to follow the way of madness, is to follow the way that supposedly leads to a future, but damns most individuals, has damned entire peoples, for to touch on the draconic prophecy too much brings the wrath of the dragons. But it seems that Kestra Khan chose this path. Perhaps that's why they remain in secret here, working. And he says, and this, you now see the Emperor focus on Blayze as he explains, is where the samurai dragons come from. These half-dragons have been created by love of all that is draconic, for we understand the draconic prophecy that the dragons have studied from as old, which is part of every part of the world. The dragons understood that Kyber itself, the dragon that we sit upon, is speaking to us. and it says that dragons will rule. So Kestra Khan has wed our abilities, our fighting with dragons, and created half-dragons. These individuals, you realize he's referring to the one with the stubbed tail. The singer goes on talking about the draconic prophecy, all that it could be. In fact, revealing that the Kestra Khan, who had stored their weapons before this fall that the singer had described, had stored it near the wall in a place not far away, a place lost to time. And yet, he says, all the signs the singer describes in his chant have come, and the cache has been revealed once more. All these are the signs that lead to the empire rising again. And the empire now, the singer describes it down to the south in the land called Dargun. And now you understand why it's called Dargun, the Dar people. The goblin people who live down there, who have emerged and are finally recognized in this new Treaty of Thronehold as a people. He says the fact that they are recognized is one of the prophetic signs that lets us know that now is the time the goblin people will rise. And it won't be through the Dargun down there, but it will be from right here, the empire, the Kestra Khan, where a true emperor will come forth. But he knows it is because they have invested into the draconic prophecy more than these humans in their Treaty of Thronehold. They have gone to something timeless. This is what you have been invited into. And now, as the singer's song comes to a close, letting you understand who they are, he says, you will be part of that key. For you have a tale. Not just a tale to tell, but a tale behind you. You have more of the draconic blood. And I would like to invite you to become part of my friends here, helping me to create more of the Kestra Khan, more of the warriors we need, more of the goblins who are touched by the draconic blood.
So how do you propose for me to help you create more?
He says, we will bring you in. You shall be my friend. You shall be an honored guest here. And you, amongst my other individuals, will not only learn some skills, but you will share your very being with us.
You're being rather vague there.
Make an insight roll for me, please. First roll of the night. It's time. Oh, let's get over to where we can actually see some rolls. Right. Wonderful. You understand, yes, he's being vague, but you also understand something else. What? We have another roll there. Oh, I see. The Verdic was the 6. You got a 16. Okay, never mind. Blayze. Yeah, you realize not only is he being deceptive, but it's probably something about when he's referring to your very being. He's talking about your body. He talks about weapons, and he's now talked about training you in a way. And it seems that what he's not saying is that he wants to actually change you. Probably you could try and verify it, but you're getting what he's dancing about without saying the words. Do you want to challenge him outright on it?
Well, I'd like for him to kind of walk me through what he's got planned here, because I'm not signing on to just anything.
You put that in words that you think are you trying to couch those words, or are you just telling him straight out like I'm not signing on to just anything?
Well, I'm kind of diplomatic about it.
Okay.
And
that's what I was looking for. I'm like, are we just like in your face? So go ahead and make a performance roll for us. Let's see how well you put it across. I'm basically, well, okay, I'm glad I had your roll, because I was about to say, basically it's not going to affect anything unless you roll high, which then you did. The Emperor, instead of just exerting his authority, he says politely back, he says, well, there's very little choice for you. It would be a shame to see you die because you have come here, because you have violated my kingdom, because you came here to say that you wanted to help me, yet everything shows that you are the people striking. Since you came here with the circus, I have been attacked. Since you came here abducting one of my own, keeping them tied up. These are all things that the circus must answer for. I am offering to let the circus that she cares so much about, which I'm assuming you are friends with, and he was referring to Aromatheia at your side, I am offering to gift you. I am offering to not have you die. There's very little to negotiate. I am merely offering you to be my guest instead of a casualty. Doesn't your life sound appealing to you?
My life's pretty much been forfeit from day one, but yet I'm still here.
Forfeit? Who do you owe your life to?
The countless individuals out there who have tried to take it before.
You
And
owe
were
your life to the
unsuccessful.
dead?
I owe them nothing. I owe no one anything.
You see, you say the words that even speak to a combative heart, to what we as goblins understand as the true way. You are the survivor. You have Acha from this. You need not worry about that. The dead are the dead. I'm sure they fell nobly before you.
Your singer speaks of your culture being all about battles. Why don't we put this on the battlefield? Our freedom for a fight.
Ooh. You have just lowered the DC far. Go ahead and make a persuasion roll. I think, oh wow, that's going to be a low DC. We're basically looking for if he botches this. We're going to see if he botches this one.
Oh no!
Is that your
Plot
final
points.
number?
You have plot points.
Do I? I don't know.
You have
I
39.
got a ton of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's add 15 to that.
You want to add
Price is
15?
right.
Okay. I will. Hey, I'm down with that. Burn him, baby.
Yeah.
Let me just change those real quick. 24. Whoa. That was the Emperor looks at you, looks to Aromatheia, who has kept her head down during this entire, shall we say, discussion, and says, Freya, that's what I'm hoping for. And says, Aromatheia, you who have captured one of my own, you whose people should be forfeit, I had offered to let him leave. Let your people leave. Only you and he would be forfeit. Now he asks to gamble with your people. Would you not rather your people to leave? Convince him that this is a better way. For if my champion comes out and bests him, your people must die. He's gambling. Do you wish to gamble your people? Aromatheia looks and says, I would not gamble them. I, as the Circus Master, am sworn to protect them. However, you're leaving very little choice, Your Majesty. And the whole time she's keeping her eyes down. It's very interesting because he had told her, if you remember, everybody could rise. Literally, but she has kept her eyes averted, and you realize she's doing much like the other individuals who've come before him, where they all keep their eyes averted and not looking at him. Aromatheia seems to be trying to do like you, challenge, but let's see if she has any success like you. I'm going to leave it up to the dice. Aromatheia continues to try to convince him to not do the gamble. But what ends up happening is the Emperor says, you're going to have to convince him at the end. And so she turns to you, Blayze, and says, my people getting out is the most important thing to me. I don't want to die here. I don't want to remain here any more than you do. But, we saw the individual. I peeked, she says. I saw him. He's huge. I don't know what you and your whip could really do.
I addressed my conversation back towards the Emperor, and I explained. I said, well, now you're changing the terms there because you already said the people could go free. I'm merely bargaining for the ability for myself and Aromatheia to be able to go on about our business. after battle.
He says, perhaps you didn't understand. I am not changing the terms. I am talking about gifts of grace. I'm the emperor. I gift people. I was willing to let them all go. Again, the circus has come here, and as I said, suddenly I've been broken into. Suddenly I have attempts upon my life. Suddenly my prison is being broken out of. People have delved into my very heart of my palace, all because the circus came here. He goes, the circus is guilty. Not just those who stand before it and rule, or those who break into my throne room. And you didn't break in at all. That should be known to the audience.
I just explained to him that he's operating on assumptions that are incorrect. The circus was invited in. The items, the issues that arise because of that, were not at the blame of the circus, and that I'd have no problems trying to help him out and locate who these are. That's what we've been trying to do all along, is find out who's creating the mischief, who's causing the issues.
So you believe that the circus came in here and had nothing to do with our lower parts of our palace being broken into and invaded?
No, I believe it does not. I believe that whoever these individuals are used it as a means to get to what they needed.
You say these individuals had something they needed. What did they need?
To get to you, to try to kill you.
Okay, no insight roll needed. Very good. You do seem to maintain that you want to protect me. Wouldn't it be easier just to protect me by accepting my invitation to spare your life and stay here?
You say tomato, I say tomato. We're looking at the same thing from two different viewpoints. My condition of helping is based out of you and I have never had any prior issues. I'm trying to do the right thing, help you out. And by doing so, I'm being bound and restricted.
The Emperor seems to focus for a minute, thinking. Now, he's never come down off this podium, so there's still like 20 feet between you. Again, so he's raised up. He's probably about a little over eye height from you. And as the Emperor ponders for a moment, he asks you very directly, he says, you wish to fight one of my own and die at their hands rather than just stay here and live. I tell you that I am willing to let the circus go because your lives are forfeit, because you know the Keshtrakan secrets. And because you are not goblin and cannot be trusted with them, your lives are forfeit. I tell you the circus must pay the price, but you tell me that it is not the circus. And yet you tell me you haven't shown me how you know this. You who stood in this place, violated the sanctity of this place in a most odoriferous fashion, and then assaulted not only my senses, but from what I am now told, assaulted down below. You see, the magics of the people here have already communicated to me what has happened down below. There is literally a destruction creeping along the floor. Your friends are gone. You wish to tell me that of your innocence, but clearly their escape speaks otherwise. I do see your personal Acha. You came here. But your personal Acha has also brought you into the scenario where you now have a secret that you cannot leave with. You say that you wish to fight for your life, but that will not remove the secret from you.
The secret was out long before you showed your face.
How so?
Because anyone who has been around goblins before or anything like that, they can sense the presence. If they're paying attention to what's going on around them, we knew what was going on long before we ever reached this situation.
He says, there are many goblin servants throughout all of the world. Do you think I have not sown bugbears and hobgoblins who act as servants elsewhere? He goes, every city has my people in it. Every city, when we are prepared to rise up, will fall. These servants that are spit upon, ignored, thought little of, are mine. He says, of course you sensed goblins. That doesn't tell you anything.
That's my whole point exactly. If you have your servants set up all over the place, ready to rise up and do your bidding at call, you've already got this in the bag. There's no sense. Keeping us here serves no purpose. What you do is your business, just like it was before we ever came here.
The humans do not know of this empire, the Kestra Khan here. I have shared with you our history because I knew you would never leave, seeking to make you welcome and show you that you can be a friend. He says, if you were to leave with all this information, you could share so much more. Now, certainly, as you said, there are things, just like the voices of my allies that whisper into my mind right now, by my permission. Certainly there are ways to affect your mind. But why damage such a creature as yourself, one with such draconic history? You have so much to offer, the Kestra Khan. We wish to honor you. Honor your very ferocious nature. Honor your lineage of dragons.
And as I said, I would be more than willing to help out. But your conditions leave me no other option but then to find a way out.
So you consider yourself needing to die rather than to stay as my guest.
That's pretty much the only option you've presented.
You are unwilling to be my guest. This saddens me as your emperor. Very well, we shall have it your way. Death it is. And he turns and walks back towards his, I think the actually turns Plankwin, but whatever it is, the little hut that he is. And as he does so, once he's seated, Aromatheia is like, what did you do? What did you do? We're going to die now. Oh, wait, I was going to die before. I guess that's really not really that much difference, is it? With that, go ahead. You look like you're about to say something.
I was going to say, our situation hasn't changed any other than the fact is now we're going to be seeing it coming at us.
With that, the doors open and other individuals start coming back in. The stubbed Dragonborn with the kind of stub of a tail. Others, guards up the sides and whatnot. And slowly the place is refilled. And we will step away for one moment. Wow. Shade, you really like... You make some wonderful NPCs. You really do. He really goes into it in deep. And here's the real problem. He spent the points to create the NPC, and I also said that I was going to honor him by doing something. I'm like, because my first response was, dude, you need to reread Minor NPC because it's like super simple. And I'm like, but like he's giving him motivations and other stuff, and I'm like, well, I want to honor that because Shade earns it. All right, Shade, we're going to earn this. Timid Goblin Rogue. Oh. They don't have... All right, you know what? We're going to work that in. I will make that happen. Son of a gun, that's going to be a problem. All right, I'm going to have to cut back to that
There's
scene.
no wild magic going.
Please, Shade, put in some wild magic. Let's screw with this.
No, that's okay.
Actually, I think we'd be okay because Verdic's not around.
That's true. Who do we have casting spells?
You say that now, but then you're going to get yourself killed.
I'll make the rogue an arcane trickster and have him cast a spell.
I'm not there to absorb all the bad rolls. So you got to be careful, Brock.
Okay. Oh, speaking of absorbing bad rolls, I don't know where my mind was this morning. I was in the middle of prepping for the game, And maybe my brain is broken. I need to like step out of the game for a second. Verdic, all the way back when we were creating your character, I was flashing back to pre-Slappy. You have your hand caught in the machine. You had the orb in your hand. You broke through the bottom and you smashed the glass, if you remember, of the machine you were in. And you smashed the glass, which is how you got the orb and how Slappy gets released. And I remember telling you the orb was like this 8-ball. Remember, you rotated it around? Did I not? I mean, at least in my memory, I don't have my notes in front of me on it. But I thought you got luck. Didn't you?
What you did was you said it was a magic item that could use halfling's luck?
Yep.
Is that what it is? Yep,
Yeah.
once a day. Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't know if you have that recorded on your sheet or you just haven't been using it. Because I'm like, I was thinking of like the last combat and all this. And I was like, why didn't he use his halfling's luck ever? And I was just like,
I do have it recorded, and I think
Okay.
I think it just, all the hullabaloo, I just forgot about using it.
no problem. Well, I thought I better bring that up to him.
That's a good point.
You know, technically they probably would have thought of it as a missile weapon. Because it looks like a throwing ball or a little kind of cannonball. It's an 8-ball. Just because remember you were rolling all the 8s that night too, and that's why I was like, and it's got the number 8 on it. It's an 8-ball. And I was just like, wow, you know, it clicked on me. So, but you have that with you. I mean, we're just, you guys said you would collect all your weapons and stuff anyway. So,
Right.
yeah. So you have your 8-ball with you. Yeah, I might want to keep that in mind. All right. Cutting back now, we go to Verdic, Den of Wolves, and Griffin, who are traveling along with Jamay through this darkness. And at one point, Jamay, who, as I told you, has been teaching you like to stay near certain buildings till you got out of the side. It's just as you're leaving that magical barrier that Jamay stops you and does this shushing, you know, which he's done quite a bit on the way. Usually right before, he seems to like almost hear them before you. This slushing sound. And as he does, he goes, I hear her. And he goes, wait, listen. And each of you can make a perception roll.
I did all right.
Oh, I did all right.
What?
Yeah, Verdic, you don't hear it, but Den of Wolves, you know exactly what he's talking about. It's the voice of a little girl. And John May says, I think I hear her. And you can actually hear this little girl saying, it'll be okay. I just came to see you once more. And it's far distance off in the side. And he goes, I think I hear, yeah, I hear her. And John May starts going over and he goes, Ebony, are you here? Ebony? Not Ebony. Emily. Emily, are you here? And Den of Wolves, you can actually hear Emily's response, assuming it's Emily. It's just, oh no, John May's coming. You have to go back. You have to go back. And no voice seems to respond and whatnot. She's like, go back. She's like, it's okay. I'll go back with John May. And again, it's very dark as John May, because you're in the shadows. You're out of the magical darkness, but it's still nighttime, and you're still, again, heaven floats over this undercity in which nobody lives. So very little light, very dark. No starlight, because heaven's above. And John May kind of, tiptoes over, moving cautiously as he's been doing. And he's like, Emily, you shouldn't be here. Emily, where are you? And Den of Wolves, even though he's talking, because your perception roll is so high, you're able to hear Emily say, shh, shh, go back, Lilith. You can't be here right now. And John May's closing in on the voice, but he might not have heard her and whatnot. And as you come around the corner of one of the buildings, what? Did you want to do anything?
Can I just try to sneak ahead a little bit of John May to try to peek at what she's talking to?
Oh, with your speed, you could absolutely get ahead of little John May. He's moving cautiously, and you can kind of, now because your cat vision works well here, low light vision, it's easier for you to move than him. So yeah, you scoot around ahead in front of the corner, getting in there before him. And as you do, you see this little girl at the end of the building, and she's going like this, shushing away. And you see what appears to be, you catch just a glimpse, your perception was just so high, I want to give it to you, of what you think is a naked woman stepping back, and she's releasing John May's face. And I'm going to have you make another perception roll, just to be sure, because you did make it around the corner in time. But I want to see if you get any more from this. Yeah. So, as you do, this naked woman releases the face, and you get the idea that not just the arms were naked, but you caught sight of what you think might have been breasts, so that it was human, backing away. But you also realize when it backed up, it seemed to almost float backwards. You can't be sure. Maybe it was just graceful the way it lifted its leg, but it almost seemed to not step backwards so much as the leg and the arm moved backward, slinking back into the shadows. And Emily turns, this young blonde-haired girl, dark skin. She looks and she goes, "Oh!" seeing you. As if surprised. John May is coming up behind you. Do you want to do anything? You can probably get off a few words before he arrives. She's about 20, 30 feet from you.
What's going on?
I was thinking it, but no. I'm not gonna... I'm just gonna take note of where that thing moved to.
It seemed to have moved back into an alley between these buildings. Again, You've only just come out of the darkness, the magical darkness, so it's probably moving back in that direction, I would say.
Okay.
Move up behind Dan and be like, "What's going on?"
All right, so John May and Verdic have caught up to you as you sprinted ahead and whatnot. And John May explains before Den of Wolves can respond. He goes, "Well, I heard Emily's... Oh, there she is right there." And she points over. He's like, "Emily, I told you, don't come in here. Were you looking for me again?" And Emily and this little girl and John May meet up, and he hugs her and he goes, "Emily, you can't come looking for me. I've told you before." She goes, "You found Snuggles! Snuggles! Oh, that's so good. Where did you find him?" And little girls seem to know intrinsically how to twist little boys. And he goes, "Oh yeah," he goes, "right there. This Den of Wolves found him." And she goes, "Oh, wow, thank you. I saw you flying high," and immediately starts talking about the circus performance that Den of Wolves and the others gave. And she's like, "You really did meet them." "Oh, I didn't believe him." He goes, and John May's very proud and says how, everything he says is true to her.
Okay. Let's get out of here before we continue this conversation, John May.
John May's like, "Okay, Emily, here, take my hand. We're going to take our friends back to the circus." And as she does, it takes your hands. You guys good with that, Verdic, or you want to do anything else?
Can I sense anything? Nah, he wouldn't have any reason to, though. No, I mean, I can't imagine he would perceive anything out of place. No. Nope.
Okay. So yeah, Den of Wolves, you start leading with John May, and John May knows the way, and you should keep to the front. And John May's holding her hand and talking to her about, Den of Wolves, Anna, the show that was put on by Blayze and whatnot, how it went. And she asked actually who Verdic is. Who's the old man?
It's a question we'd all like the answer to.
John May's like, "I don't know. He was with them." She goes, "Well, where's Gonic?" And he goes, "I don't know. He went in and next thing he's dead." And she goes, "Isn't that his sword?" And she points at the sword at Verdic's side. And John May seems very surprised. He hadn't noticed at all. He's like, "No, it can't be Gonic's sword. Gonic wouldn't give up his sword." She goes, "No, I swear I saw that sword on Gonic."
Unfortunate. I found the sword, but was not able to reach Gonic.
Wait, you mean reach Gonic? He's dead?
I don't know anything for sure, but there was a lot of screaming and monsters down here.
And Emily begins to cry, and John May is like holding her. He's like, "No, Emily, I told you it's dangerous down here. Gonic knew what he was doing. I told him. I'm sure that they helped. If he says he couldn't reach him, and he's friends with Anna and Blayze and Den of Wolves, you know that he tried to help. He's probably just bringing back the sword for Gonic's people and whatnot." And Emily thumps him on the chest. She goes, "He was a circus person. He doesn't have a people." And he goes, John May says, "Well, I'm sure he had family somewhere and whatnot." In the meantime, you guys start moving along. Den of Wolves, do you want to add anything to the conversation?
Not until I feel like I'll wait till we actually get out of the darker ruins.
It takes about another half hour and by the time Emily's done crying, they just walk along. And as they do, you finally get towards where, and it's interesting, when I say lighter, understand what I'm referring to as starlight. Not lighter as in morning light or anything like that, but you approach the edge of the clouds upon which the Emperor's Palace of Heaven is on, getting you more towards where the circus is, because the circus is just a little bit under the clouds. So you get back towards the circus, and you start to hear the sounds of nightlife, which are individuals who are sleeping, but animals sometimes sleep, but individuals in the circus also prepare for other things. They prepare for the next day. What's interesting to you now is that you notice that most of the circus is packed up. Even part of the main tent has been broken down. And you can all recall the timing. They had said they were here for 2 performances, one here and one in heaven. Clearly, they didn't plan on staying. Griffin, the Arakocra, says, "Oh, I haven't remembered Robin." Robin, he goes, "We left Robin up in heaven." He goes, "Maybe I should let them know that, the circus is packing up." You think they know?
Yeah, they probably know.
Then Robin will be fine.
Yeah.
We still left somebody else up there, I don't think it'd be a good idea to leave him for too much longer.
Who's that? Anna? You said you had Anna in a bottle. Speaking of which, I want to see the bottle.
Blayze.
You haven't drunk her, have you?
No, I haven't drunk her. Shh. No, we've left Blayze up there, remember?
John May's like, "Wait, yeah, what's this? Anna's in a bottle?"
The new trick.
Wow.
These are not
Emily and John May are like, "Whoa, circus magic." And John May acts like, he knew the whole thing when he's talking to Emily. He's like, "Yeah, I told you, man, they're good," and whatnot. He goes, "You two look a little like whatever magic you were practicing might have, I don't know, like injured you." Injured me? He goes, "Damn near took all my feathers off." He goes, "Besides, I'm covered in shite." And then the little kids look like, "Whoa." And he goes, "Oh, sorry about that." He goes,
"We could do with a little bit of a cleaning up, wouldn't you say, Den?"
I can't wait, you people. I just can't.
Which way to the showers?
I was gonna say, aren't
Emily's,
you like? Would your character be like?
We have some place we can go and then clean up. So I'll show you there. Give me a minute. And
Emily says, "Oh, good. I thought the circus people took care of their own. And if you had a rough time, I'm sure they got somebody to like heal you, right? I mean, accidents happen in the circus and whatnot."
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, you guys know that Sumina is the healer for the circus and whatnot that Anna had previously spoken with.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to adjust. I'll come up to Emma and be like, she said Lilith, right? I thought I heard a name, but I can't remember what it was.
Wait, you walk up to Emily and ask that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming you're whispering, or did you say Lilith or what?
I'm whispering to her like who's Lilith, but I'm just confirming with you that was the name I heard.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm like whispering up while they're all still talking to John May about the bottle and stuff.
Yeah, and when you kneel down and you whisper to her in her ear and say, hey, did you mention Lilith? Emily's eyes, you catch the action immediately. She looks like not only surprised, like she got caught in something, and she's like, "Don't tell John May. He doesn't know. He doesn't like Lilith at all. And I know he'd hurt her. Don't. Lilith is nice."
Not sure what Verdic's just kind of watching this all with one eyebrow cocked, like.
Yeah. Verdic doesn't know what Den of Wolves whisper, but clearly the reaction from Emily has caught your eye from where you were over listening to John May. You're muted, I think, if you're speaking. I saw your lips moving, but...
Tim, can you hear us?
And he's checking, but yeah, there's no sound coming through. We just thought you stopped speaking. Maybe you had kept speaking.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see his lips moving there for a second. I thought maybe
I only just caught it there for a moment.
Right.
But I think he might have actually... When I thought he stopped speaking earlier, I think he actually had somehow muted himself.
We're just going to continue to just watch this discourse with curiosity. It's just...
I was like, oh man, maybe this really perplexed him or something. And then I was like, he got silent. Lilith frightens him.
His mic's out.
Oh, that's it. Den of Wolves, you have killed your mic. Steal yourself another.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can.
There you go.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, weird. Zoom just killed my mic. I switched off and switched back, and it worked.
Okay.
Nice. That's actually what I was going to type too, so that's fine.
I was saying, what is Lilith?
Oh, okay, yeah. We just thought you had stopped speaking, so
Yeah.
You asked her what is Lilith, and other than she had said this, she was Lilith's my friend. She found me in the darkness and she protects me. John May thinks it's scary down there, but I don't have anything to be afraid of because Lilith likes me and she protects me.
Interesting.
Who is Lilith?
One of the interesting things, I'd like you to make a perception roll, Den. And Verdic, you can now see, has come over to you and asked the question, so clearly he's heard.
Yeah, I just heard the back end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just heard Lilith.
11.
You're close enough to her right now because you were whispering and you're down on your knees with her. Your perception notices that her eyeballs, where the usual there's a pupil surrounded, and you see the color on the outside, you realize there's something odd about her eyes. It's almost completely black, like there's nothing around it. When we talk about the pupil and the iris, it's like almost solid black, like it would be taking in too much light.
Interesting. I assume this is when
Den of Wolves comes over, yep. You just happen to have noticed it. And Den of Wolves asked, Verdic asked the question, what was it again? Who's Lilith?
Yeah, who's Lilith?
And you asked the question, she's like, shh, it's my friend. But John May, since you walked away from his conversation, has walked over with you and goes, you were seeing Lilith again? I told you don't be down there. There's nothing down there that's safe. Emily, and he goes over and grabs her arm, and harsh like a kid does, and pulls on it. And she's like, ow! He goes, you've got to promise me not to go down there anymore. There's nothing safe down there. She goes, you get out just fine. And they begin arguing back and forth about, whether it's safe for her or not.
Verdic's going to get down on his, down to his knees, crash down to their level. And
dad mode activate.
He's going to put his hands up, kind of like, peace, both of you. I'd appreciate it if you could explain to me who is Lilith and why would John May be worried about it in the first place. And I'm going to use my channel divinity, Emissary of Peace, to give me a +5 to that persuasion roll.
Nice.
That's just because he knows he's going to roll a 1.
Yeah, probably.
He did it. He rolled an 11 with plus. And that's with it. The +5.
That's
so
with the +5.
Yeah, good thing I did that.
So he brings it up to a mighty 11. And John May releases her, and the two kids are put apart. But Emily starts to describe that Lilith is somebody that saved her and whatnot. You learn very quickly that Emily had followed John May once down there, worried for him, and gotten lost in the darkness because John May, as a rubbish hunter, goes into the Undercity to pull items out and then sell them to support the family. He and Emily know each other from the streets, and Emily one time had followed him thinking it was safe. But, in their bickering way, John May describes the fact that she can't see that well, though. She goes, "Not true, I see really good." He goes, "No, you don't." He goes, "It's why you constantly get hit." And you realize quickly that she goes, "I can see things close up really good, at least." And Emily is perpetually, she can see things like maybe 3 feet away, 4 feet away, and that's about it. So the fact that Den of Wolves knelt down near her, but what she does is she's very good at listening, and she hears sounds. So like when she turned around, it was Den of Wolves in the distance. She caught a figure, but she couldn't tell who it was. So she has this really, really bad eyesight, except for up close where she can see really, really overly well. Lilith, she describes as a person who came and helped her. And John May's concern is that no people live in the Undercity. It's deadly. And he says whatever's down there isn't a person, according to him.
What does Lilith look like, Emily?
And Lilith describes this beautiful young woman who always ends up coming and helping her. But Lilith doesn't like to speak. So Lilith, always talks with her hands and touches her and guides her back. And it actually is the one that Emily claims Emily claims Lilith helped guide, picked up Emily, and carried her back to John May one time in the darkness. That was that first time when she had followed John May. And John May says, "I didn't see anything. Nobody led you back." And she says, "She did. She gave me a little spot on the bottom. That was when I stumbled into you. I just never, you didn't like hearing about Lilith. I told you I'd met her, but no, she actually brought me back to you." So John May has never seen whoever Lilith is.
Verdic's going to look over at Den and be like, "Sounds like this is something we should look into maybe at another time, but I'm very concerned about your dragonkind friend who's still up there with the Emperor."
Yeah. Let's head back to the circus first.
You're pretty much at the circus now?
Yeah.
We had already tried getting there. And John May just tells her it's a figment of her imagination and she's not supposed to be going into the darkness after him. That's John May's biggest concern because her imagination runs wild with her. She can't see. And while, yes, she did stumble back to me, no, she gets lost and you guys don't have to worry about finding anything according to John May just because she's got an overactive imagination.
Yeah. I want to start heading to the medical tent.
Yep, following.
You guys arrive at this Sumina's tent, which has nobody at it because we're not post-fire. And right near it, the flap that is lifted and whatnot. And you've caught enough of being here now to know that usually circus people speak before they lift the tent, but you guys should probably go right in.
No, I would I would probably ask if anyone's there before entering.
Okay. As soon as you announce, hey, look, is Sumina, are you in there or whatnot? She says, "Oh, I recognize your voice. Come on in. You and Anna, the whole crew, come on in. We've got plenty of room. We're not busy now." And slowly this little frail hand pulls back the tent and says, "Welcome, Den of Wolves. Oh, you haven't gotten your real name yet. That's right. And who's this?" And she looks at Verdic. She goes, "You brought a human.
friend.
You don't look injured. Is everything okay?" And then she looks around. Where's the
I'm
others?
not fully healed, so there might be some bruises.
Recall, I'll give you some plot points for that one.
Yeah, I only have 11 HP, so.
Boom. I thought you were up to speed, though, Den of Wolves. You got the healing, right? Was it Den that got the healing?
Yeah, he was the one that we.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
I'm up to speed.
Okay. I thought you had like poured out your last ones there and whatnot.
I'm but a humble paladin, and he's gonna like not.
So she
lower
goes,
his head down.
"Oh," she goes, "You poor old man, come in here." Now, she says, "Poor old man." She looks older than you, dude. You're like 50. She looks like she's got to be 90 at least, and whatnot. She's like, "Come in, come in. Here. Oh, Sumina's got bandages. I've got remedies. Oh, have a seat. Oh, Den, you just stand right. There, look, there's a chair there if you need."
Yeah.
She goes, "Do you need
This old
anything?
soldier
Do
thing.
you need anything to drink?" "Oh, I can get you. What do you need, sweetie?" "Oh."
Hey, fun fact, in case you want to bring it up, I am still wearing Aromatheia shoes.
Oh my. That's actually problematic.
I bet.
Yeah, because like even when you sprinted forward, you have disadvantage because of the large heels and everything on any movement-based ability till you attune to them, which you're not attuned yet. You have to learn to run in high heels, especially these ones. These ones are dangerous at the best of times.
Dexterous.
Yeah, I'll give you some plot points for that one too. Yeah, that will be coming up in the conversation.
And she probably wants to get them a shower before she does anything with them, with the way they're reeking up their tent.
Ooh, plot points for that one too. Well done.
Fastest shower of all time because we feel like Blayze's time is on the clock.
Why, you only just left him a few hours ago? It's like, what the heck? He only went to visit the Emperor.
Just a little while ago.
Whatever.
The stinky smelling emperor.
Surprisingly, Sumina doesn't speak to that. She seems more focused on the wounds, and makes you, of course, you wonder what has she seen in the circus that, she's less concerned about the smell of crap around here. I mean, her tent is kept very, very nice.
Yeah.
There is nothing else here and whatnot, but why did my there we go. Sumina, wait, hold on. I want to check my Twitch chat. Oh yeah, no, it's showing Freya's last comment. I just want to make sure. Okay. Sumina brings along with a cup of tea and stuff for herself that she's sipping from, which appears to be hot because it's steaming, and you don't see any fires here. Sumina comes over and takes some water, some cold water, and starts dabbing at some of Verdic's wounds and whatnot. And as she does, she says, "Oh, here, you take this." And then she starts going over and getting some remedies and crushing some things up and some herbs and other things, and starts literally washing wounds, doing bandages, doing everything she can to clean you. And then she starts working with dexterous hands at your... Are you wearing armor, Verdic?
Nope, it's all woven cloth. Yep.
Okay. So she's going to start undressing you then. She seems to have no modesty whatsoever as she just goes into cleaning you, taking things off, and Verdic, or Den of Wolves, you can watch all this happening. John May and Emily are peeking through the tent and whatnot, and clearly she's Sumina either doesn't care or doesn't seem to notice them as she's so focused on Verdic, and she throws a towel that she's just put into some of the water before it was messy to Den of Wolves and says, "Start cleaning yourself up, honey." And she goes back, pours out some water into what appears to be a giant, almost rain barrel, and then scoops some fresh water out of the other one, brings it back over, and keeps doing this, trying to help clean up Verdic. Now he's totally naked and whatnot, and she just working away on his body. And then she starts doing some of the herbs and whatnot, and working a poultice to clean him up and wrap him up. She continues on at this, never once asking what happened. But after she's done cleaning him up, and Emily giggles, and you see that John May's covered her eyes at one point with the naked Verdic nearby. And she just continues working on him, cleaning him up. He gets back from her ministrations 10 hit points. She has you bandaged and cared for. You both get all the privileges of a short rest. Welcome, Doherty D&D. Back to plot points. Our individuals have just gotten a short rest. And Sumina asks again, where are Anna and Blayze? That pretty little half-elf that was here. You remember.
I'm not entirely too sure myself. A lot has apparently gone down very quickly. But Blayze is with Aromatheia talking to the Emperor.
And John May's voice goes, they say she's in a bottle. A bottle, you say? What's this? Anna in a bottle?
Tricks.
Blayze
Nothing
with
to be
the
concerned
Emperor?
about.
I can tell you, I honestly have no idea. I'm getting overwhelmed with information at this point.
Well, you know, cat folk are some of the most alert individuals. You take in an awful lot, sweetie. She goes, I understand. You missed a little stuff up here, top of the... Yeah, right there. And she looks... You know, Verdic, you know, who's now... Oh, no, don't put those back on, sweetie. We'll burn those later. I'll get something for you.
Thank you kindly.
You know, in the meantime, he's just standing there hanging out with his junk, which isn't too offensive to, you know, den of wolves and whatnot. But, you know, again, Emily keeps trying to peek, and John May's, like, covering her eyes and, like...
I'm just going to sit down on, like, a nearby bench and, like, fold my hands over, like, my legs. Kind of give myself some humility here, just a little bit.
As you do, pretty soon she comes back with what appears to be a large, and I mean large, robe. It looks like maybe it fit like a bugbear or something at one time. It's big. And she hands it to you. In the meantime, she walks towards the door and says, I'll take that, sweetie. And you just happen to catch eye that John May goes, huh? And he's holding the bottle with Anna in it. And she goes, that's it. Thank you, sweetie. And she takes that from him. And she looks and she goes, does this belong to you? Oh, what's
thank
that?
you.
There's something moving in it. And
Vertic's gonna rush over there and like put his hand in front, like over it. And be like, oh, thank you so much. And just take it kind of crisply.
Make
This is very important to me. This is my good luck charm. I'm so glad you found it. Kids, I tell you what, they're just as crazy as they ever were ever since I was a little one. He's gonna put her back in the satchel. Put it away.
You start shoving it back in the satchel and whatnot, the bottle. Sorry, Doherty D&D, you don't get to participate. You're shoved into a satchel. And as you're mentioning the good luck charm, you've gotten your satchel and everything else, and you notice your 8-ball is missing. You're muted, buddy. Everybody likes to mute themselves.
Because I didn't want anyone to hear that. I'm going to look over at John May and be like, is there anything else that you ventured into my satchel for, young man?
And he goes, this rolled out, and he holds up your 8-ball, which is identical. As you can see, this black ball with this white 8 on it.
Thank you kindly. And he's going to lean down and take it from him carefully.
Goes, do I get a reward?
I'll tell you what. If you hand me the 8-ball when we're all alone, I will let you talk to the magic Anna of the bottle.
So he hands you the 8-ball and goes, oh, okay, cool. And the woman, who clearly must be called Samina, says, wait, so Anna's in a bottle?
I'd like to know about that too.
Well, lest you forget, we still have a friend that's in possible danger up there at the Emperor's Palace. Shouldn't we be getting on with that?
I know.
She goes, I don't think you want to let whatever's in that bottle out.
I wouldn't worry about the bottle. Nothing to be concerned with.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
So Samina says,
Verdic's trying to look at Dan with like, I'm gonna kill you look like.
You can try.
And you know the funny thing is, as you start concentrating that hard, like trying to tell him to shut up, you hear that same laughing in the back of your mind again that you recognize as Slappy. And it's almost like the more angry you get trying to tell Den of Wolves to shut up, he's like, try to keep me silent. It's like an imagined voice in your head.
And I'm going to attempt to commune with Slappy and be like, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a bit of an exercise, but you have to wait till I get out of this.
As you do so, you project your thoughts towards Slap, and he says, "You're not my master. You don't pull the strings."
Got him.
As long as you can't walk about your own free will, I am your master. And if you tempt me hard enough, I will find a way to get rid of you. So you can either cooperate, or you could be the first thing on my priority list. What's it gonna be?
And you're sitting there thinking this, projecting your thoughts and whatnot. And S1e10 says, "You look concerned. Are you constipated?" She goes, "I have
Probably.
something for that." And she goes over to the shelf and whatnot. And she says, "Here." She goes, "Here,
Yes,
sweetie,
give him
chew
some
on this."
extract.
And she gives you like this little stick. She says, "Chew on this for a moment."
Thank you. And he's just gonna take it and
No.
just
You're
put
gonna,
his lips around it for a minute and then look away, and then
it tastes
he's
very
gonna
sweet.
continue his conversation with Slappy.
She's like, no, put it all in. She goes, "Trust me." She goes, it'll work. She goes, "Just chew it up real quick."
Actually, I just remembered something very important, and I'm going to stand up and I'm going to forgive me. I appreciate your time and your assistance. Den, can I talk to you outside the tent, please? And I'm going to take the stick politely, like I'm going to chew on it, and then I'm going to rush out of the tent.
Wow. Okay, so
Anyways,
you dodge out from.
No, I'm just gonna still talk to her. I don't know what's going on up in heaven with this whole meeting with Aromatheia and the Emperor. I'm gonna take off the heels and give them to her.
Those are Aromatheia's boots.
Yeah, she gave them to me so I can get out of there. But
Wait, Aromatheia would never let go of her boots.
yeah, that should tell you what kind of situation she may be in right now. But
What
the whole
happened?
circus. I
Den,
have
sit
no
down,
idea.
talk to me.
I really wish I could, and I really don't have anything to say because I don't know what happened. I need to figure out what happened as well, but apparently Aromatheia and Blayze are with the Emperor, and it may not be good. So you might want to have the circus speed up, breaking down, and get ready to leave at a moment's notice in case Aromatheia gets back here and you guys need to go.
She goes, "Well, I know we were already scheduled to leave, and the Circus Master, make sure she know if with the Emperor, this could be bad for the entire circus. Her hat is. She didn't send back her hat with you. She sent her boots."
I don't know anything about her hat, but there was a hole that I needed to go down to save him, which is how we ended up so disgusting. But she gave me those to help the fall. That's
Sure.
all I know. But
Well, Aromatheia really loved the boots, but the hat's what's really important to the circus, sweetie. And I know you haven't gotten your name yet, but we really have to have the hat. I don't think Aromatheia must have. She must have thought she was coming back if she didn't give you the hat, but gave you. I don't know why she would give you the boots.
okay, I don't know either. You hold on to them. I have to go figure out what else is going on.
But
Otherwise, I can't be of any more help.
well, how are you going to figure it out from down here, dear? Are you going back up?
Possibly.
Well, what happens if you guys pass each other along the way? I mean, if Aromatheia thought she
Then
was coming back down.
Aromatheia would know what to do.
Oh, she goes, "It's your bird friend outside, the one with the little children. He's going to fly up there." Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
But
well,
we need to get more information first, so I gotta go and
she
figure
says,
out
"No,
what's going
before you
on."
leave," she goes, "what's with that whole Anna in a bottle thing?" She goes, "I heard Verdic just say that, to the little boy that he could see Anna in a bottle, and then he wanted to keep that bottle. He didn't put Anna in that bottle, did he? Because
I got
the things that
told
are in that bottle
Anna's
are
in a
not
bottle.
good."
What's in that bottle? 'Cause all I know is that he has her in a bottle or something. I don't have the full story yet myself.
Well, that bottle, that's got a long history, sweetie, and if he's, what I would say first, don't open it, but whatever you do,
I'm 100% sure he opened it.
oh, that might not be, then he's gonna be, wait, sweetie. If he opened the bottle already, then he's going to go in the bottle. But you just said Anna's in the bottle. That shouldn't be able to happen. What darkness is with that man that you brought here? I mean, I healed him. I saw he was wounded.
I
What
didn't
did you
bring him here? I only brought him here because he had Anna.
He had Anna, but Anna was here already.
Yeah, well, so at some point, upon me getting away from them, she ended up in a bottle, and everyone else ended up with the Emperor. So like I said, I don't have much more information for you because I was helping out with the circus, but they were doing something else apparently. But all I know is Anna ended up in a bottle, and Verdic has her, but they are old friends. And that's all I know.
Well, I'll tell you, the last one in the bottle was Envious, and if Envious was still in there, your friend isn't gonna, if he let Envious out now, your friend might not be your friend at all. But you said Anna. No, that doesn't make sense, because if Envious came out, your friend had to go in it, and if he's not, Anna's in it. So, but Anna's body should be. This doesn't make any sense. That's not how it works. Oh, and you can see her get concerned. She goes, everybody that wants to mess with the flows, and she starts tapping her fingers there. She goes, everybody that starts messing with the flow, it's bad. This is why, you start using the magic, and this happens every time.
Yeah, I agree. Magic's terrible.
She goes, well,
Especially wild magic.
There's a reason why my people, originally, I know. Oh, Anna. Oh, I need to talk with that poor little girl. I need to talk with her. Oh,
well, apparently she's in a bottle. You want to come out and see if we can talk to her?
Well, your friend seemed a little grabby on it.
Yeah, it's fine. We can handle that pretty easily.
Oh, really?
So, she was, if you think so.
You haven't given me.
We're gonna waste that much time, are we?
So,
listen, if I have to choose, I have two friends, and one of them's closer to me than the other.
So a moment later, Sumina comes out where John May and is alone with Verdic and whatnot, and Emily's of course run off by now and whatnot, since they weren't allowed to peek in the tent anymore, since the big overly robed man has come out. And I'm going to assume, since you were alone with Verdic, this is when he was taking the time to let him talk to Anna in the bottle.
Verdic had a very strong grip on it with two hands.
That's fine.
Yes, he showed him. Anna
it's a long-necked bottle anyway, so yeah, you're holding the top of it where he can't rip it out of your hand. You're strong. He's a little kid. And he's like, da-da-da. And, so Den of Wolves, as you come out of the tent, you actually can see kind of the backside of Verdic, because, and you just see his hand up in the air. You can make a perception roll to try to see the top of the bottle, but basically his body is blocking it.
We're about to talk to him anyway.
So, he's down on his knees holding on to it while John May's there. Anna, can you hear me? And, he's knocking on the bottle. He's like, Anna, why are you so small and you're in there? So, as you come out, you can hear that somebody's talking to Anna and whatnot.
I'll just walk up and approach.
Yeah.
Everyone else apparently knew about this, so I don't think it's that big of a secret.
Well, it was supposed to be. And
guess what happens?
Never got a chance to catch up. You caught up with the old lady before you talked to me.
I know you both equally as long.
So, all right. Verdic's just going to calmly put the bottle back in the satchel for the moment and stand up to his full height. And he's going to turn to face Den. And he's going to look down at John May and be like, now, my friend, if you don't mind, I need to catch up then on what's happened with Anna and everyone else, but we need some privacy. Can you do that for me?
John May was like so upset as he pulls back the bottle and he's like, hey, I wasn't done talking to Anna. She was trying to talk to me and whatnot. And oh, that's not fair. That wasn't worth it. I want the stone back.
Verdic's gonna hold on to us. She'll be like, I'll let you talk to her again another time, but not now. We don't have a lot of time. We have other friends that are in danger.
And
I toss him a gold coin.
Wow! I mean, like, his eyes bug out of his head. You've literally just tossed him a Galifar, and he's like, "For me, you know what?"
You know.
And he takes off running because he's like, he knows better than to ask. You know, it's like the person might take it back. It's like so.
Or he's just gonna sign relief.
He sprints away, and yells from a distance, "Thank you!" as he takes off. So, Sumina goes, "That's it? Oh, that's the bottle. I thought Why do you have that?"
So in the interest of time,
And
can I just say that I gave them the update on what's happened thus far.
gave who what update?
Den.
Me and Samaya, like,
Yeah,
instead of
him and
verbally,
Samaya.
means instead of verbally saying
Yeah.
it right now.
You can say, "I just take the time." Always. You never have to stay in character voice.
Let's.
Murky Mirror, go back and forth. You just say, "I update them," and I give them all the details. And
Well, I just want to make sure we get around to Brock again too, so I want to make
Yep.
sure we save as much time as possible. So yeah, Verdic's going to update them on what's happened and explain the situation with Anna to the best of his ability.
okay.
So that's all I can really
So
do.
now Den of Wolves gets caught up on what supposedly happened, and Sumina, listening the whole time, she actually tried to bring you back in the tent. Would you have come in the tent again? Because like you were the one that darted out of it.
I'd have been careful to do it, like a little paranoid, but yeah, I would have followed her.
All right, so
As soon as he enters tent, full attack. No, I'm just kidding.
she's like, some of these things are best not talked about, like where lots of other ears can hear.
I agree.
And so, she looks. She had wanted to see the bottle during that. Would you have let her see it?
Carefully, guardedly, yes.
Well, I mean, you're in a tent. It's not like like the 90-year-old lady's gonna, run away.
Look, man.
It seems like a secure place. I mean, unless she's gonna whip out a
I'm holding
scimitar from her
soul
skirts
that's very
and cut
dear to
through
me
it.
in my satchel, so I'm very cautious about who touches this thing.
Just as soon as she mentioned that this is something that should be kept quiet, I'm gonna form a telepathic link with everyone so that the whole conversation happened in our minds and not verbally.
That
Wow.
works. Yeah. Okay.
I have to figure out whether or not that's gonna work for Sumina.
It's not magic.
What's the ability that you're using?
It's called Psychic Whispers.
Oh, psychic. Okay, never mind then.
Yeah.
Yeah, psychic whispers work. Yeah, that's not a problem. Psychic whispers actually works incredibly well. Yeah, so that's perfect.
That's why I told her I agree with her. Magic sucks.
Yep.
I'm all about psychic powers.
Yeah, that works absolutely perfectly, flawlessly. So the conversation starts happening in your minds and whatnot. And what you realize very quickly is you can all see Anna moving in the bottle. Anna kind of comes up. She's making different poses, watching different things, but none of you can hear her. Like, even when you, like, speak out loud to her, she can't hear you. And Sumina actually describes the reason why. She goes, well, Envious is supposed to be in the bottle. And she quickly gives you a history. The bottle was actually with the circus for a long time. We had a magnificent wizard here, a comical wizard. He was a wonderful part of the circus. And they actually called him Slappius. And Slappius would make the kids laugh. And it's one of the things, his whole shtick with all his magic, he could literally juggle babies was one of his favorite things. He's like, people would be like, no, you're going to hurt them. And with levitation and whatnot, he loved doing magic. And there was a tiefling who became, wanted to join the circus. And he goes, people come and people go. And he wanted Slappius's power and whatnot. She goes, and that's fine because, our roles, our names with the circus belong to the circus, not to the individuals who hold them for a while. She goes, so that's fine. She goes, but to do so, he was going to train with him. And Slappius actually brought him Envious on, this wonderful young tiefling lad, but he really was jealous all the time of Slappius's power and said that he would bring him on as an apprentice, part of this sidekick, part of this humor. And it was actually Slappius who took Envious on and gave him a name that he didn't like and whatnot and dressed him up as part of the show. But Envious really wasn't happy with all that. And it was a short time later that we learned that Envious had actually taken on the role of Slappius. But then it was a short time later, interestingly, Slappius left the show entirely. And I don't know, I've been here a long time, and Aromatheia could never give me a real clear answer on what exactly happened. Other than I know that the bottle that Slappius always had was gone. And so were both Envious and Slappius, the character from our show. I know that, I know probably a few more things than maybe Aromatheia know. And I know the bottle actually holds the person who was supposed to be apprenticing, but Envious, who had brought this in, something seemed really odd there. And I know that, and she kind of leans close, even though you're hearing all this in your mind, she leans close to you as if whispering and goes, I'm pretty sure that Envious in the bottle had taken the role of Slappius and got punished and kept there for it. So I don't think anybody that lets him out is going to be letting out the very best person. I don't think he should have been part of the circus to start with. And then she leans back. And again, her lips have never moved the whole time. She's just totally doing the psychic conversation. But her whole concept is that somehow whatever's in the bottle she communicates takes the place of whatever's outside the bottle. And she goes, and I think his whole goal was to trap the noble Slappius in there, but Envious never really grasped the concept that the roles we fill here at the circus are an identity that's not our own. We become them for the time that we're at the circus. And I think his magic went kind of screwy because, he had been taking on this role of an apprentice as a puppet of Slappius. And it was even more funny. Everybody loved the show, but I don't think Envious liked it because he became this puppet. And as the conversation continues, Verdic, that banging voice in your mind is so overwhelming. I need you to make a wisdom and a con save. Both.
Get beat up by Slappy mentally.
Yep. That's exactly what's happening. Okay, wisdom save, good. So literally, Slapping's yelling against you, in your mind, and it's literally putting tears in your eyes to the point that slowly it overcomes you, and the pain is almost like your eyes are weeping. It sounds so loud inside your head, like being inside of a giant bell.
I'm going to communicate to the other two that that's happening. I'm not going to keep that to myself.
Sumina can see it. She goes, well, I gave you something to ease that headache. Is it, is the headache overcoming? Or is it you're going to tell her it's the voice? Are you communicating that?
Yeah, I'm telling her that I can hear Slappy in my head.
Sweetheart, chew the wood. I mustn't have given you enough. And she goes over and comes back.
Wood?
And she gives you 3 more pieces of wood. And she goes, quickly, chew this.
I'm going to chew the wood. All right.
Do you just put all 3 pieces in that she gives you? And she's like, here. She's like trying to put them in your mouth. It's like, obviously, one didn't work. Chew this quickly. She's like trying to show you your gums or you gonna chew it all up?
Yep.
Okay.
We're gonna do it.
You're like, chew this. The one's still tucked away, and you're like chewing, and it turns like balsa into powder in your mouth, and it's really dry. She's like, quick, use your saliva, get it down. And as you do, literally the effects are almost instantaneous. It's overwhelming because she shoves so much in your mouth now. It dissolves and it literally starts to deaden the ringing, deaden the pain. It's like this super headache medicine just driving Slappy back. And as she does, the thing comes and the pain starts at your ear. And it's like goes from your head and starts concentrating on your right ear. And it becomes so much, you're like, it's not a sound so much as a presence. And all of a sudden it's like, ow! And literally as Den of Wolves is watching, your ear starts to bleed, but it doesn't bleed. It bleeds this black substance. It comes out, and then it turns into this blob, and out from it, literally Slappy emerges from your ear and whatnot. She goes, it is you, Slappy! And he goes, evil bitch! And he's just he just straight out goes right at her. He's like, you evil bitch! He goes,
Verdic's gonna attempt to jump at him immediately.
Go ahead and make a grapple roll to try and grapple him before he can run off. And Slappy has disadvantage on his roll already without using DM disadvantage because Slappy was more concerned with Sumina. Ooh, he did roll well, though, so you better roll good. Oh, wait, no, I got to take the lower of the two, so, yeah, I rolled 2 dice. So, this is a grapple roll, so it's athletics.
Oh, it's athletics. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so 11 plus whatever if you have a bonus there from
that's strength. That's not athletics. Hang on. Oops.
Strength, athletics is under strength, so
you
have an 11.
Okay, so we'll take the first with the 11. Yeah.
Yeah, but my question is, do you have proficiency in athletics?
It's a +5.
So yes, you have proficiency. That makes it a 14. So your 14 beats his 12, and literally, as he sees you reaching for him, he tries to get away, but you end up grabbing onto part of his outfit anyway, as this little imp, this puppet that's got horns on it and whatnot, and you grab him, and he's like, hey, let me go, and he starts hitting you with his wooden hand. She goes, oh, envious, I've told you. He goes, it's not envy, I'm Slappy now. Remember, I'm Slappy. And she goes, I know, but this wasn't the way to get magic. What did you do? He goes, I didn't do nothing that wasn't done to me. I would be getting out. I'd be getting out. He'd be in there now. He'd be in there. And he's pointing at Verdic. And he goes, but oh no, you had to screw with the spell. Screw with the spell you did. It's all your fault. And he goes,
Anna saved me when he was trying to put me in the bottle. That's as near as I can figure.
And the old woman looks at this little imp puppet, Slappy, and says, envious, I told you that's not the way we do it here. You can't just steal what you want. And she goes, what did you do? How did you twist it? She goes, oh, you have no idea what it's like to look at yourself in that thing every day. You have no idea what it's like to talk with yourself every day, to be stuck in there and only pulled out for a show. He goes, and then being left in a cave, you have no idea. And she goes, envious. She goes, you can't. This isn't the way to get ahead. She goes, you're bound to it. Not anymore. Not anymore. Somebody else is in there now. Now I'm free. She goes, are you really? She goes, if you're free, why are you sticking around? He goes, because he's grabbing me. He's got to let me go. And she goes,
I'm going to let you go. You should have been gone the first time. How are you still around?
He goes, because you're supposed to be in the bottle. It takes a while. I was going to get Slappiest in the bottle, and then I would have been Slappiest forever. But no! They ended up putting me in there. And she goes, envious. She tries to calm him and explain. Very quickly, you start to learn the whole idea of this bottle is that the person who's in the bottle, whoever's using it, ends up over time switching places. Actually, from what Envious described, Slappy the puppet, switching bodies eventually. His whole goal had been for your soul to get sucked into the bottle, and then he would have gotten your body and he could have left the bottle somewhere else. And now you understand Sumina's confusion when she asked earlier, Den of Wolves, about Anna's body. Because she says something's gone terribly wrong if a body was sucked in there too. She goes, it literally should have done this. But she says, and she looks with concern at Slappy, she goes, but if you're free now and a body wasn't yours, she goes, does that mean that you're now trapped inside of a puppet body forever? Or, and for the first time, Slappy almost looks serious. The little puppet eyes roll back and forth. And then you hear this clicking sound as like levers are pulled inside the puppet and the eyelids flicker back and forth. And he goes, no, the spell, I was supposed to get a body. She goes, the puppet's only a magic body. He goes, yeah, and it's tied to, and Slappy and her say at the same time, a container. And the little puppet eyes and Sumina's head both turn and look at Verdic. And they're like, so you're the container now? Yeah. And Envy, the puppet just starts cursing and swearing and going, son of a... And he just lays into it. And he goes, I want out! And
you think I want you around me any more than you want to be around me? You must really be out of your mind.
And you realize very quickly. She says, but what does that mean for poor Anna? And she holds up the bottle and looks at Anna inside the bottle and says, if she doesn't have somebody to let her out who's tied to switching her place, what does that mean for you?
Is there anything I could do for her?
She goes, Well, if you're not bonded to the bottle because you're bonded to Slappy now, she goes, because you've become a container. She goes, what does that mean? I don't know, because that's not the way this was supposed to work originally. I mean, this bottle is actually part of the very concept of how our circus works. It's all the way back to the very beginning. We take the roles.
Bonds souls to containers?
Well, certainly, as I said, Den of Wolves doesn't get his name yet. Not to containers. You become a container. So you become the very spirit of the person. You look like the original container. It's only your spirit that changes.
So you're telling me this thing is just a symbol for you using
you
actual
take back
living
the bottle.
beings? Yeah.
Yep.
That you use actual living beings as containers?
He goes, sort of. We become the container. So see, like here in the circus, when you meet somebody, they just look like the person, the original container. But like when Den of Wolves gets his name and truly joins us, he'll look like whatever role he wanted to be. That way the circus goes on forever, and it's the same actors forever. The players are different, but they look the same and whatnot. And then we get
Verdic's
some
gonna
guests.
slowly like look at Den and be like, "You signed up for this, huh, youngin'?"
Signed a lot of things in my life.
You know, so Sumini explained, she goes, that's why we love getting guests and performers, but those who want to run away to the circus, you know, nobody wants to see Joe the pilferer or Samantha the harlot from the street corner. People don't come to see that. What they do is they come to see these wonderful shows, and this is the way the show went on forever. And sometimes when people are bored and want to finally leave the circus, they leave their container, their role, to somebody else, which Slappius would have done eventually. The role of Slappius would have gone on to Envious had Envious not tried to usurp it the way he did by stealing the bottle, and she's looking over at the puppet, from the circus. That's not the way it works. You tried to twist the magic, and now you're the one that's gotten twisted. And she goes, and it looks like you have too. And she looks over at Verdic. She goes, I don't know, but you haven't signed a contract with the circus, have you?
No. Is there any way that him and I can strike a balance, or I can control this thing? Last time he was out, he set a tent on fire.
Well, technically, the spell that he was using that Slappius was working him as was a familiar, a puppet familiar. And Envious just started twisting things. And Slappy goes, I only went to go break the spell. I went and got the original thing. I learned it. I knew how to use it. And you have no idea what you can learn in there about yourself and about magic and about everything else. And he just starts going off like, you know, blah, 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 like speeching this old woman.
Well, it'd be nice if you would have been more useful in the first place.
He goes, well, if you'd have given me the right commands, I would have. And besides, I'm free now, right? Just tell me I'm free.
Clearly not. You wouldn't be here. I don't want you here any more than you want to be.
Serena says, well, I'm pretty sure if he's your familiar, can't you just banish him? Oh, wait, you're the container. Where would you banish him to? Because the original familiar always went back into the bottle after that.
Try eating him.
I'm a paladin. I don't deal in traditional wizardry, so I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do.
Try to eat him.
Try to eat him?
This giant wood puppet.
You just ate wood.
3 pieces.
The old man is just going to be like, all right, enough of this. Look, you and I, he's going to hold the puppet like in front of him and be like, you and I are stuck together right now. So are you going to cooperate so we can go get our friends? Or are you going to spend another 3 hours debating with this clearly talented woman for no reason whatsoever? Because obviously she can't help you.
Just tell him what to do. Why are you asking him? It's a puppet.
I'm not a mage.
Neither am I.
Shove your hand up his ass and tell him what to do.
He said you can give him orders. Just give him an order.
Does Slappy have a retort to what I just said, or is he just sitting there in silence?
Well, you guys were kind of meditating a little bit too. It's like Jack is on his way.
No, I was literally telling him, is he going to cooperate or not? Yep. That was verbal.
There you go. Sorry about that. I had to reply to that in chat. I got a out of character, out of game experience. One of the reasons for anybody who's wondering why like I haven't cut back to Blayze and focused on this, because I know that Brock and he's willing to play longer. So what's going to happen is as we finish up with you guys and we cut to him, Brock and I will be able to continue this. This will be one of the few nights where I take a brief like 5 or 10 minute break because I have something coming over to the building where I'm at broadcasting from, and so I'll step away then. But yeah, Brock's not being cut of time because he's told me before he's willing to go longer.
Well, me too. So yeah, we've got time. I just wanted to make sure that everybody got some extra time in.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, even if we ended your guys' show, I don't want to keep you, like, I know like last week it was like, you guys are all tired. My goal wasn't to put pressure on you. My goal is to honor him and make sure that he gets as much as he needs. Slappy looks at you and says, I'd leave if I could, but that's not the way the magic works. You're my... And you just see the jaw start chattering like back and forth. Like
Yeah. Verdic's going to hold up like 2 fingers and be like, just don't say it. Just don't say it.
Master.
Oh, really? He's going to like slap his face. All right.
And then you watch Verdic
yourself.
slap his face and Slappy do the same thing.
Just dismiss yourself.
I can't. You have to do it.
Be gone! And Verdic like uses his fingers.
Yeah. He's like, you're not a magician. All you have to do
No, he's not.
is say, I banish you. It's not like some magic spell or something.
I banish you.
And with that, Slappy disappears and reappears inside your mind. And he's like, fine, I'm back here in the dark again. Feel better now?
You know I can still hear you, right?
I hope so. La, la, la. And he starts singing, doom, 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 doom on you, doom, 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 doom song, doom, 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 doom song, doom, 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 doom. And it just keeps going.
If happens to me, it happens to you, right?
He's like, ooh, magic. What if you break the container? Does that mean I get to be free of you and without a master? Because I'm not banished to another plane. I could be. Ooh, I know more about magic than you'll ever know. You have no idea.
And make yourself useful instead of just wasting my time. And then he's gonna look it over at like Den and be like, we need a plan to get back up there so we can get your other friends.
And Slappy's like, your plans suck.
Yeah, we'll handle that. Let's get out of here.
All right, let's do this. By the way, am I just wearing a robe now? Is that what I'm doing?
She's offered to burn all your rags that are soiled and whatnot, unless you want to take them and try and clean them.
I'm gonna look over at Den and be like, I hate to ask, but is there any way we could maybe find myself a quick change of usable clothing before we go?
Yeah, sure.
There you go. So, are you guys
Lost
done
and
with?
found bin.
There you go. Circus lost and found it is.
Dress him up nice.
Sumida, well, that's it. He's already wearing actually something from it, which is why it's this huge oversized robe.
Yeah, I need to find like some actual pants and a shirt. Like, I need to get a loan.
I kind of picture this like a robe that goes all the way down to your like ankles, and it's built for like a huge, heavy person. And, it's got all these stripes and other colors on it and whatnot. It's just this big, baggy thing is what I picture in my mind.
Yeah, I want some pants.
Yeah. Literally you're holding the sword in one hand with your sacks in the other because your regular outfit, had loops and whatever else you were used to. Belt. Might grab your belt off the old one. Again, she was willing to burn it all, but...
I'm going to attempt to... Den and I are going to go find someone who can sell me just some plain clothing.
Okay, you guys separate off saying your goodbyes to Sumina, having learned now about Slappy, and realizing also that Verdic, now who has him as a familiar, can summon him once a day, but otherwise he's going to hear Slappy in his mind all the time now, till you summon him out from your mind, at which point, like a familiar, he has to obey. And now, of course, you understand this other thing. Whatnot. Oh. Yeah. I had to think about that.
I'm going to get really good at trying not to listen to my own mind.
And, of course, as you emerge from the tent, one of the things you realize is, you hear a voice who goes, "Ah, so you done yet?" And, of course, the Arakocra, who has been waiting for you, has clearly, instead of going to the lost and found and looking for clothes, found something to wash himself, because he's not only washed his outsides, he's washing his insides with a nice drink that he seems to have found from somewhere. So you guys spent time doing all this, but he spent time doing something else. But up in heaven, the time has passed differently. Brock, what is... Catch me up, because my last thing was you talking with the Emperor and this kind of contention. Everybody came back in. How would Blayze respond to this? Are you just like, dude, that's fine, whatever, kill me, or?
Well, it's my impression that we're getting ready to have a battle.
Correct. So I don't know how you're preparing for that. Are you just like willing to let them kill you, or?
I'm waiting to see who the champion is to come in that I got to take out.
Oh, he never agreed to a champion. We talked about death. You were trying to get him to go for a champion you wanted this whole thing, and he was like, my rules are the payment for the circus, and you were like, oh no, the circus isn't part of this. And he was like, I'm summarizing, not his words, my realm, my way. And you saw it entirely differently, because he feels the circus has violated the sanctity here. And you're like, no, there's no proof in your mind, because you thought it was different. And I'm saying what I understand as a DM, so help me if I've got the wrong impression. Because you felt it was entirely different. He feels, as the Emperor, that the problem comes from the circus, and that he was being generous and letting the circus go, but not you two. And ultimately, it came down to his way or not his way, and you didn't want his way. So he was like, well, if you're choosing death, then death it is. That's not a problem. We can work that if you don't want to be my guest here. Did I misunderstand that? Because there's still time to change it.
This is my misunderstanding. I thought we were getting ready to have a battle between champions, but
not champions. Okay. He's getting ready just to kill you.
What his next move is?
Yeah, he's just going to send in his people and kill you. So, at this point, what happens is once everybody's into the lined room, the voice of the Emperor, which is the person standing there, the human person that leans over and does the usual, leans down, listens, and then relays a voice to that Dragonborn individual that comes forward, the one with the stub tail that looks more humanoid, like what you would see in the player's handbook, the softer face, more rounded and whatnot, and comes forward grinning and laughing. And again, he's more draconic. Again, I did say more of a snout than other ones that you have seen here lined up. So he's somewhere in between Blayze and the other Dragonborn that you have seen up here. The other Dragonborn don't even have a stub. They just have a ray of robotics, no tail whatsoever. Standard PHB stuff. And then you get Blayze, who's more like the half-dragon. He's somewhere in between, which is why I refer to him as a half-dragon too. But Blayze would technically look more like it. Anyways, that individual grins, comes down, and pulls out a katana. A large sword, an old school katana, not like we think of katanas today watching the movies. The old katanas were done from horseback to cut people down while riding, and the blade is probably about 4.5 feet long. It's huge. It's like, dude, he's ready to just go. And he walks down wielding this thing, and as he does, he twirls it. Rather than holding it like a greatsword, he twirls this thing, emphasizing just how strong he is. And he walks towards you, turns to the Emperor, bows low, pauses, doesn't say a thing, and then after a suitable time, whether he was said something in his mind or something else, you don't know, stands up, turns towards you, and bears it, ready for combat.
I wait for the moment that he's drawing back, getting ready to swing it, and then I turn into a flea.
Wow. So the interesting thing is you guys actually danced around each other for a while, as almost like he was waiting for you to strike. And he even did some growling at you and whatnot, and these two back and forth. And Blayze is kind of used to that from back home in Kabara. He's used to the tendencies of dragons, and this one again acts more draconic, which Blayze is used to, than the other Dragonborn you see here. Growls at you, does some other things, and finally, almost like fed up, swings the sword finally, frustrated, swings the sword, and Blayze disappears. It all begins now. In a flash, you're gone. As it happens, because it's up to artistic definition, is it a flash? Is it smoke? Do you shrink down and go, woo? What happens when you shape change this way?
It's instantaneous.
Instantaneous. Gone. Apparently disappeared. And as you do, he looks around. It appears Aromatheia has been left alone. She's just standing off to the side somewhat, waiting for this whole thing to play out. He's looking around
for me. I'm heading towards him, and I'm going to try to climb up his cloak.
One quick hop, you're halfway up his cloak. Please can jump really freaking far.
I'm trying to head up and into his ear.
Okay. Having more intelligence than a flea, you don't have to crawl the entire way. You can actually make strategic decisions, such as where to jump and whatnot. So, you're still, while he's swinging around and whatnot, or looking for you and whatnot, you're making your way there. Where and when to jump, timing yourself. He does this a couple more times. Oh, wild magic surge! It came afterwards, so we're not messing with it now. But if you've got another one planned, he's making sure that you're going to be messed with. Oh my. Hopefully it'll end up small, because that's only a surge, and it's only depending on the dice roll if that thing gets any bigger, or the table. Oh, God love you, Shade. You and your wild magic surge. It's because of you that everybody keeps telling me you've got to raise that price. You've got to raise that price. And I'm like, no, he's having fun with it. I said the kerfuffle one's raised up. And everybody's like, no. I love wild magic. But of course I know it can be frustrating. You make a couple more hops. He swings around. The decision comes that, clearly agitated, and maybe you're just invisible, as the man or the Dragonborn looks to the throne, he seems to get some sort of order silently, whatever else, you don't know what, but he turns and heads towards Aromatheia. She looks back and forth wildly, not knowing what's going to happen, and all of a sudden, she drops to her knees. She's like, this is it. And he raises his sword as you finally jump into his ear. What do you do?
I go as deep as I can, and then I transform back.
And he's like standing on the side like this and whatnot. And I have to remember, because I know what I want to do as a DM, but I've got to look at the spell because I want to make sure I make the right call on this one. I mean, I do love doing crazy things. And you are using, what is it? Wild shape?
Wild shape.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just trying. We'll see where it goes.
See, I want to say yes. I mean, I'm all about this. I love creativity, because one of the things I want to express to people, we're a teaching stream, and you as DM, my instinct is to always say yes, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because your players feel A, empowered, which is good. B, just like when I talk about anything else, if your players thought of it, probably the villains thought of it a long time ago. Which means it's totally cool when your players think of this to then have the villain do the exact same thing to them. And when they're like, why did my head just explode? You didn't even give me a saving roll because somebody just wild shaped inside your ear. And then your players will stop being like, yeah, I don't want it happening this way. It's like,
oh, you won't.
So, but usually that's also why they usually have things such as like when we talk about the shape water, which we used in this game, you can't shape water with a living object in it. Sorry, can't do it. And they did that specifically because what they don't want you doing is, oh, look, you have water. Your body is made of mostly water, so I start wild shaping it. I crystallize your blood and all this for people who try to outthink the rules. So the game is actually quite balanced. I love this idea, which is why you get saving throws.
Sean, so whatever you decide to do.
You go to change back, whatnot, and instantly, Aromatheia, who was there on the ground, is covered in blood and gut as you do this bloody mess perk, everywhere. You are covered in blood and guts, having popped out of this guy's head, destroying his head, exploding it all around. And there's a gasp from everybody as you reappear, covered, landing to the ground, making a dexterity, agility roll to see if you fall over standing in this bloody mess. Because you just landed from 6 feet in the air. You appeared 6 feet in the air, exploding. Boom! Bam! Landing like a superhero amidst all this blood and guts and whatnot. And there's this horrible gas, and then people trying to control themselves really quickly as they're like, oh my god, and then they realize they're making noise in the Emperor's room and whatnot, and you don't do it. And you reappear covered in guts. There are numerous weapons drop down, from all these other guards that I talked about coming in and whatnot. And many move in. What do you do as you start to see this happen? It's an instantaneous, sensing reaction. Something has appeared inside of the room. Oh, crap. All right. No, that's fine. Yeah, this is an ability. Yeah, we're good. Go ahead. And what do you do?
Ready myself for battle.
Your sword still...
And I holler out. I said...
Oh, wait, you didn't have a sword.
There doesn't have to be any more bloodshed. We can find another solution.
What do you draw a weapon or anything else? Because you hadn't drawn a weapon previously. You said you were just dancing around with it.
No, I just put my hand on the whip, and my other hand out in front of me in a ready action.
Well, ready in action says what you're gonna do. Is your ready action that when somebody comes into range you're attacking, or you use the term ready in action?
I've got my hand up. If it goes into battle, I'm gonna start shooting stuff out of my hands. That's what I'm gonna do.
Perfect. So if somebody makes an aggressive attack towards you, then you will respond with a magical attack. So the trigger is aggressive attack. That's all I need to know. You do this, and as you do, the voice of the Emperor, that's the person, not the Emperor. The voice of the Emperor shouts out, "Halt! This individual has won in combat. The Emperor requests his company once more and would not see him die."
I lower my hands, raise my feet, and do a ceremonious bow towards the Emperor. Towards the voice of the Emperor.
You go towards the voice of the Emperor, and you see him, you bow, and you see him actually lean in to talk to the Emperor once more, and stands back upright before telling you, "Will you accept being the guest here of heaven?" You can still say no. He's like, "Darn it, we're still here."
Has this not proven anything?
Is that what you say?
Correct.
Okay. You ask him if it has proven anything, and he says, leans in, comes back. "The Emperor is most impressed with your abilities and believes that your abilities are fit here in heaven with those who he is raising up to save the world."
Basically, I'm going to say I have no issues with that. I may be interested in that, but I'm not putting a guarantee to that. I've explained my stance on this as of right now. I mean, are we at that much of an impasse?
Would you be willing to accept a binding on certain information? You know that instinctively he's referring to a magical binding. That usually it's like a death trap type thing. If you speak about something, when an item is bound, they have to do whatever it is to the letter of the law type thing. Otherwise, consequences happen.
Possibly. Let's discuss these details and then.
I love that he's hedging.
He's like, I'm the negotiator.
I
Oh
still
my.
have the leverage here, Mr. Emperor.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm like, the Emperor's like ready to like just to.
He's like, this is my kingdom now.
The details are, and the person bows down a second time just to make sure he has them right. That you will speak of nothing that happened up here to anyone else at any time, and you shall return when summoned. If so, the Emperor graciously is willing to let the circus go and you leave. Make an insight roll for me.
And Aromatheia?
That you don't need to make the insight roll because he did not mention Aromatheia. You ask the question and you have advantage on a persuasion roll because you asked the question without having to make an insight. DM didn't have to help you on that one. Advantage means you roll twice, take the highest.
17.
The person leans back in and says, she is a part of the circus. She may leave as well, providing that she falls under the exact same binding. Aromatheia looks towards you and, gets up and bows and speaking to the ground says, the circus can't be bound to any one nation. I, as an individual, am willing to. And
I accept.
The person you accept. The Emperor's voice says to her, the distinction is unclear. And you hear Aromatheia explain that the circus is its own magical entity with its own rules. And she has a feeling the binding would not work, and she's trying to be open and honest about it. That she, like Blayze next to her, is willing to accept the responsibility, whatever that is, to protect the others. She goes, because in my role as the Circus Master, I absolutely want to protect my people. And since none of them know what we saw in here, she feels that they should be allowed to leave. With that, there's a discussion back and forth, the Emperor's voice, listening to the Emperor, and he says, the Emperor's voice speaks once more and says, then clearly you must step down as your role as the Circus Master, or with the circus. With that, Aromatheia stands up, keeps her head bowed from him, turns to you, looks up, and she says, I need you to give this to the circus. And she takes off the hat, and as she does, while she's lifting the hat, her whole body gets larger, and she becomes, you end up tilting your head upward, this Goliath woman, standing almost 8 feet tall. She's huge. And she hands down to you the top hat of the circus. She says, I realize you won't be, and her voice is husky, deep, strong. She goes, I realize you won't be able to tell them what happened here. Just tell them that the next Circus Master, Aromatheia, the next Aromatheia, will be good for them.
I can do that.
With that, she keeps her head bound towards the Emperor and says, I choose to remain in heaven as requested rather than be bound. And with that, the Emperor accepts. There were no gasps, interestingly enough. When she changed shape, no gasps. The bloody mess all over, and she, even after changing shape, is a bloody mess. Again, the blood is still leaching out from the body and whatnot. In the meantime, the Emperor's guards have moved back to the sides. And the Emperor's voice says, the circus will begin packing and leaving immediately. You're escorted from the palace. Do you have any parting shots that you want to say to the Emperor? Like insult him, fart wind at him, or, do anything like that, Crack your whip, tell him you're the boss. You're brought out front, but you aren't brought directly to the circus. You are actually brought to another set of individuals. You recognize these individuals, one of which is the man who ran up here before you. If you remember, there was some people that left and ran here. This is one of them. And he takes you to a room. You're under guard the whole time, as if they feel that, not like pointed guard, but like escorted, if you will, as if they feel that's necessary somehow. So clearly they're still worried about whoever broke into the palace and whatnot. There we go. You're brought to a room where you are asked to stand in a circle. There's a magic ritual. At one point, you're asked to drink a drink. Do you agree to all this?
Is it an alcoholic drink?
No, it appears to be a potion of some import. Like,
okay.
You understand they're doing a magic ritual on you. This is the binding.
Okay.
During the binding, they pour certain oils on you, draw sigils on you. Now you notice that as you're watching, it's not that it smells bad, but you can tell the smell of different herbs, and they draw these symbols and sigils on you. And as they do, they actually light up. You feel warm for a moment. The drink actually tastes a little bit sour and whatnot. And as you do, I need you to make a con save, please. Let's see how he responds to this. And you feel actually incredibly ill. It drops you to your knees, and you notice at this point when you're on your knees, the same heat that you felt starting you is coming from the floor, and when your hands hit the floor, the runes start to glow as well. And it's almost like when you're wild shaping the wild, when you've become part of nature, you felt very one with it. And suddenly it's like part of you feels like you're one with the floor, with the clouds, with the sky, with this place being lifted up. And just as quickly as it happens, it's gone. And they tell you to rise again, that forever you are bound to this place and to the Emperor's will. With that, they escort you out to the circus, which you already see in just the time, the hour or so, two, that it took to do all this. The hours that have passed, being with the Emperor, in combat, doing this magic ritual, they spend packing up. You're out there with them where you meet Robin again. Robin is kind of excited, speaking to you in Kenku, telling you greats and flips and chanting other people's words back and forth, which half of it makes no sense whatsoever. Then he starts imitating Griffin's voice, and, that's just comical in and of itself. But he seems to clearly be looking for Griffin, using some of his more colorful phrases, and looking for the others. How do you want to respond to Robin?
I'm asking if you've seen the others and point me in their direction.
Looking confused, tilts his head and repeats some of his phrases back to you. And it's clear you're both looking for the same thing. He has not seen the others, and he thought you would know where they were since you were with them last.
So I just tell him to follow me, and I go looking for the others.
You spend your time looking around the circus only to discover you're carrying this top hat the whole time, and everywhere you walk with this thing, people start to hush. People become incredibly quiet looking at you, walking around with this big top hat in your hands, asking about the others. And people will start to ask you, where's Aromatheia? Where's Aromatheia? And one interesting person, a girl, it appears. A girl with yellow hair asks, who's Aromatheia? Not where's Aromatheia. Do you want to respond to any of these individuals?
I'm asking, I ask around and I say, when Aromatheia is not here, who's the second in charge, second in command?
And they tell you that the Circus Master is always here. There must always be a Circus Master. But quite often, she looks to the individuals in charge of their areas. And you realize there is no, when we say a top-down structure, there is not sub-levels underneath. Everything goes to the Circus Master. Like, literally, she'll just talk to people like Gonic is mentioned, who handles the wild animals. They talk about mentioning individuals like a Tabaxi, Mutashi, who handles most of the individuals in the circus who actually Maitushi, I said Mutashi, it's Maitushi, who handles individuals in the circus who are in charge of, shall we say, pest control. They use another term for it, but he says inside of rodent control. So there's not a second in charge. There's individuals in charge of their own functions, which explains the little girl asking, who's Aromatheia?
Well, then I say, who wants to be Aromatheia?
The little girl says, can I?
Is this like a little child?
Yeah, pretty much.
Perhaps eventually, but not today.
The little girl kind of pouts a little bit. She goes, I guess I'll have to just settle for being Isis. And you're like, who's Isis? But one of the others walks over, having heard the exchange, and says, Isis prefers who she is. We all choose the role that we have. But if Aromatheia is no longer here and they put out their hands and offer to take the hat from you, the right Aromatheia will come along.
Have I recognized this person? Do I?
No, you don't. It's just another circus individual. Tall, thin, kind of gaunt around the eyes, dark, whatnot. Looks kind of like half cadaverous, actually.
Okay. Well, before I hand over the hat, I ask them if they've seen my companions.
The person waits and says, I have not. Your companions left with you earlier, we thought. Except for we did see Den of Wolves. He was, quite some time ago, he said he went searching, but we have not seen him since. Although the guard has been much more cautious of recently, such as, and you had noticed all the extra guards around the walls. Remember I talked about the tops? You could see the other Dragonborn and whatnot hunched over. And you know exactly what he's talking about. It has literally over tripled. And in fact, you're just a druid. Never mind. Just a druid. You're not a paladin. I would have given you more info. Paladin could have had it, but not you. Sorry.
I go ahead and hand over the hat. I have no use for it. She told me to deliver it to the circus. I delivered it to the circus.
The man takes it, bows, does not put it on his head. Instead, blows a whistle, lets some other individuals know that we need to quickly be out of here. It takes more time to get everything loaded back onto the airships that the Emperor has. Night comes, or with it, and you guys, it was already night when you escaped, and then you had all this with the Emperor and whatnot. And it's just before dawn before you're finally making your way back down, flying down on all the airships to the circus itself. Den of Wolves and Verdic. You who have left where you're at, it is breaking dawn when the rumors come around that the circus is coming back down and the airships start to land. So this is your opportunity to find out what happened to Blayze and possibly catch a ride on one of these airships if you could sneak aboard to get back up to heaven.
Yeah, let's do that.
We head over there to see.
We're just gonna grab and be like, we should go now while we still have a chance.
Okay. What is your intent? Do you want to try and sneak on board so you can get back up to heaven?
I want to see what's going on with the circus.
I'm gonna follow it into the circus.
All right, you start talking with some of the other circus individuals. You notice that it's heavily armed. Many of these individuals, Verdic, you can tell by the fact that some of them are not working, that they are there as guards. Each of them have weapons and whatnot. But the circus is unloading all the circus workers, and there's a somber tone to things. Whispers come out, and Sumina actually is right behind you as you're standing on the side. She has come out of nowhere when she whispers, Aromatheia is gone. Aromatheia must be found. Some others come over to her, and one of them is a tall, gaunt individual with almost cadaverous eyes, and he hands her a hat. The circus hat that you recognize that Aromatheia must have worn. So clearly she's still up in heaven.
Yikes. That looks like they died.
Good. What happened up there?
The tall, gaunt man looks from speaking to Sumina and looks over to you. He says, we were requested to cut our show short. There was no need to perform for the Emperor after all. But now we seek Aromatheia. And then he looks again to Sumina. Sumina says nothing, just holding the hat.
Aromatheia? What about the individual that was with our Dragonkind friend? I keep intentionally messing that up, by the way. Our Dragonkind friend. What? Weren't they together? Where are they at?
He says, I do not know. Sumina says, are they still up there? And he says, no, actually, the one known as Blayze, previously contracted, is in the ship right over there, and he points towards a skiff. And looking over, you can see Blayze actually standing up on top of one of the things, coming down a gangplank. It's one of the last ships that came. Almost as if he waited long enough to make sure that all the others safely left.
Well, Verdic's going to walk over there.
You walk over there just as you, as Griffin soars down in front of you. It does this landing. He says, Blayze! And he wraps Blayze in wings and arm and whatnot, this big old Dragonborn. He's like, so good to see you, my man.
I kind of stumble back, a little caught off guard. Still trying to replay the events in my mind. Doing a little bit of self-reflection. And I kind of nod to him. Good to see you as well.
Now that the four of you have gathered up again, Den of Wolves, Verdic, Blayze, and Griffin. Griffin swooping in right before Verdic could have a chance to say hello. Griffin steps off, letting you welcome the man. And of course, Griffin's question is, hey, did you know? Anna in a bottle is actually slappy. Not quite slappy, but got slapped around a little bit. And this guy's actually holding him in his mind.
Okay. I don't know what all that means, but okay.
And not knowing what it... Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. What happened to the one that was with you, the Aromatheia?
I cannot speak of what happened.
What?
Something got your tongue.
I walk over and I'm like, hey, Blayze, I think we need to head to the ship.
I think now would probably be a good time to go.
Wait a minute. We're just going to walk away after everything that happened. I sensed a great evil up there.
I'm proud of you.
I think being proud of somebody is the perfect place to end. It's like, I'm proud of you. There you go. We end with pride. That's where we'll close this session. Thanks for all of you who followed along tonight. We intentionally were ranting along, but we got to a really great place where the party is back together, where Blayze overcame the Emperor's not demand, but restriction to have to stay up north with doing some creative magic in a new way. Whether that magic will work again later, we'll have to see whatnot, but it definitely worked for tonight. I kind of took that as the wonderful thing. We have wild magic still on the screen thanks to Shay, but we haven't seen another spell happen since. So we're going to have that up for the first spell coming off next week. But next week, stay tuned, because not only will we have Eric back, but we will have, where the chat is below, Anna as well. Now, how Anna comes out of the bottle remains to be seen. We'll have to discover that next week as soon as the show starts. But from all of us here at Plot Points, I want to thank you for viewing with us. I will say the final goodbye. I'm going to hand it over to Den of Wolves to start us off while I look for somebody to raid.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for sharing the stories during our little break time. It was fantastic talking, and we'll definitely catch you guys next week with more exciting stuff of us leaving that place and never talking about it ever again. Go ahead, Verdic.
Not sure Verdic's going to let that go completely without any kind of remiss, but we'll see. The player's glad we're leaving. I'm very, very grateful that we're getting out of there. The character is probably going to be a little conflicted about betraying someone's confidence and leaving them there after sensing all that bad stuff. So we'll see how that gets reconciled. I'm looking forward to it, though. It's always a great time here. All right, Blayze.
Had a great time tonight. I do want to add, we did not use Shade and Shadows NPC, so is there a way we can carry that over to the next time because they spent the money on it?
I did, and actually, what I have is it happening in a different way because you had another thing happen. So yeah, that is carrying over. That's actually a regular part. It's supposed to be a minor NPC, but now it kind of became major because my having to bring him in took a little bit extra on my end. So I'm not going to reveal where he's in yet, but he is in, and we will see him coming up. So watch for that next week's Shade and Shadow. You will see that little goblin who was a squire showing up again. Was being the operative term because helping Blayze has done something else. It was actually one of the reasons why I didn't have to make that dice roll that Brock asked for, but I'm not saying any more than that. So, therefore, from all of us at Plot Points, thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the show. It's been a great time. We hope you were excited to see everybody get back together. You know, we have a great time at our table. I hope you do at yours. But whether your table's online, tabletop at home, whatever it is, make it the best game possible. Love one another. Help one another. Have amazing adventures together, making fantastic memories. But most of all, make amazing friendships that last a lifetime. From all of us at Plot Points, have a great night.